Timothy, he has a fairly rare form of muscular dystrophy, facioscapulohumeral syndrome, which affects his muscles in his shoulder girdle and his face, the tone thereof, and his quite rarely is complicated by a seizure disorder as well. He has severe reflux, and when I first saw him, he'd been on an NG for a long time. That reflux had improved with medication and with his growth and improved trunk stability. Reduced vision, new glasses at the time, and a hearing impairment. His oral aversion was quite pronounced. He would gag a lot, and he would just not participate in oral feeding. Hence the tube was quite essential. He did tolerate a little bit of sweet, slippery, smooth. So, if you're going to talk about complexity of textures, that would be right at the bottom of the list. The kids love the sweet, the slippery and the smooth, but they can get stuck there, and this is what was happening to Tim. He was using a suckling movement, which although that would be something that we would look to change over time, for him it was doing the job. So I considered it to be a strength at that time. His pharyngeal swallow was quite prompt. His nutritional status was great thanks to the tube, so that we didn't have to worry about that. He was still drinking from the bottle, and he was a mouther. Like, he would put everything but food in his mouth. So if you gave him anything straight into the mouth, it would go. He had poor seating. He had been given a tumble form chair at one time, and they just stuck with that and were trying to feed him in that, although he now was independently sitting. His vision was poor. He wouldn't change tastes or textures, and not a lot of volume. He lived with his grandma, who was a very confident feeder. Her main concern at the time was that he was on NG feeds overnight, and she was really, really keen to stop that. He was waiting for a peg at the time and had been waiting for some time and probably had some time left to wait. But the NG feeds overnight were killing her. The tube would leak. It was just a disaster. So she was quite keen to stop that. We seated him upright in a built-up high chair, thank you OT, with a tray in tight with his arms on and his feet stable, which made him able to participate in play on the tray top. He loved to sit up at the table and chat, type of chat. We did lots and lots of messy play, which took a bit of doing, but using the toys that he was enjoying playing with already. We added the new flavours this way first. So if he was playing orally with toys, we'd give him a slippery smooth puree to play with on the toys, and then we'd give him a new taste on the toys, and he was doing that way. We got him spoon feeding eventually with 2 spoons, so one for him because he was a mouther, and one for the feeder, for the caretaker who was doing the feeding. We'd gotten to the point where he would tolerate a range of different things, but the volume was still low. So we started to think about maybe it was because he was full of Paediatric that he just wasn't hungry enough to take any more food in. So I put in a call to his dietitian, and we started negotiating around what kind of nutritional goals we could have that would allow him to eat more orally. And then they got a phone call from the Children's Hospital saying, would you like to come in tomorrow? We've got a spot, you can get your peg. So off he went to get his peg. As a follow-up to that surgery, he ended up with a pneumonia, and he was quite unwell for about 6 or 7 weeks. And then at that point, he was tolerating his peg feeds. He was back to being healthy, and the family decided that they didn't want to work on his oral skills anymore. That oral eating and drinking had ceased to become a priority for them, that they were happy with the peg. They were no longer having the problem that they were having that was motivating them in the first place, which was the NG feeds overnight, and they were quite happy with the status quo, which was a bit sad for me at the time because I was thinking, we can do this. But now he's a happy, healthy, peg-fed 3-year-old. Can't argue with that, right? He loves family mealtime, so they're still getting him up to the table and giving him messy play with food and toys, and he really, really enjoys that. So a little part of me is thinking, the window is still open there at some point in the future if they change their minds. He sleeps like a champion, and he's growing really well, and now he has a baby sister. So he's got someone to hang out with in a high chair at the family table, which is lovely. So, in summary, the take-home messages from me this afternoon are to think about the whole picture, not just about the oral motor skills and is the child aspirating. That is important, but as important is the whole picture, the interaction, what's happening in the family, what's happening between the caregiver and the child during the mealtime. Think about reducing stress as much as possible. That is key. Optimising positioning and improving state, and see what happens from there. Always, always, always think about developing your goals from strengths rather than from weaknesses. Strengths can be a really solid foundation for that bridge to what you want to achieve. Think about making changes tiny and using eating to practice the skills for eating. Think about fostering independence from the beginning as much as you possibly can, and the kids will do their own therapy, which is cool. Always think about the child within the family and the best way to facilitate the happy, healthy child and the happy, healthy family, whatever that may look like. And it's going to be different for every family. I've listed there, I do have resources listed, references listed on the last 2 slides, but I did want to highlight some of my favourite resources. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Pre-Feeding Skills book, and a little bit in love with Suzanne Evans-Morris. She has some great information on her New Visions website, and she's always happy to answer an email, so she's pretty cool. Marsha Dunn-Klein has fantastic ideas and lots of resources on her website. I've fairly recently discovered Feeding Matters, which is a fantastic website, and it's a collaboration of a lot of those kind of US ped feeding gurus, and they have really reasonably priced e-learning modules that you can do, which is fantastic. And the classics to get you started, Wolf and Glass and the Arvidsson books.